Bob Woodward's book takes you inside of the Trump White House in a way we haven't seen before. Woodward describes what he calls a nervous breakdown of the executive branch, at times even an administrative coup d'etat, advisors working against President Trump to try to stop him. Gary Cohn, the president's former top economic advisor, goes so far as to take a document off the president's desk inside of the Oval Office to try to stop the president from getting out of the South Korean trade agreement. Another explosive revelation is Defense Secretary Jim Mattis ignoring the president's order to assassinate Bashar al-Assad, the dictator of Syria. It seems almost unprecedented. We've never seen anything like that. And Woodward paints this picture of people who don't really get Trump but are working for Trump, and they're trying to protect the country in their own way.
It's a pretty alarming picture about this president, about how he makes decisions, about how impulsive he is, about how petty he is with his staff, how mean he is behind their backs, calling the Attorney General mentally retarded, telling Wilbur Ross, the Commerce Secretary, that he's past his prime, referring to his former Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus, as a rat. It's a pretty extraordinary picture of a chaotic administration and a president at the helm who does not seem to have full control over what he's doing. And he gets into behind the scenes of how Trump is dealing with the Mueller investigation on Russia. A lot of chapters about his interactions with his former personal attorney, John Dowd. Dowd staged a mock session. He played the role of Mueller, and the president, of course, played himself, and he just peppered the president with questions. And the president, as is his nature, told falsehoods, he lied, he got facts confused, and he eventually lost his cool. He said, "This whole thing is a goddamn hoax." That's how Woodward quotes the president. Both the president and certainly his lawyer, Dowd, were convinced that he would not be a good witness for this probe, but the president, of course, changes his mind. He wanted to have a chance to answer questions for himself to Mueller, and Dowd said, "No, you're not going to be a good witness. It's either don't do this interview or you're going to end up in an orange jumpsuit," according to Woodward's reporting, and Dowd ended up resigning over that difference with the president.
It's taken a real toll on people inside of the West Wing as they've had to deal with all of this. The fallout from the Woodward book, then the New York Times. It's a guessing game inside of the White House about who's actually the author of the New York Times op-ed and who actually talked to Woodward. Suspicion runs rampant inside of the Trump administration.
The president and his advisors in the White House have really tried to go to war with Bob Woodward.
It's a work of fiction.
They're trying to challenge his credibility. They're trying to say that he is a phony and that his book is a fraud.
This Woodward book is a total fraud. These people, libel laws.
But they're finding it very difficult to take down Woodward because he has so much credibility and trust that's been built up over really a lifetime of investigative reporting at the Washington Post. He, along with Carl Bernstein, are credited with the demise of President Richard Nixon, and Woodward's been chronicling presidents ever since, and has a very meticulous method.
One of his first books was called The Final Days. It was about Richard Nixon in the White House at the end of his administration. Fear reminds me of The Final Days. It captures a presidency under siege. It captures people working around a president who are alarmed, who are unsure of the future, who are dealing with daily battles, complicated fights. It's interesting to see the echoes of Watergate-era politics with the Trump era through the book Fear.